Can the Metal Master hold up against a modern amp sim like the Archetype Gojira? We'll find out. So this is not a review, and certainly not a recommendation. This isn't some legendary hidden gem. If you've ever owned one of these, you know what it does. It's not versatile, and being that it's digital and got chips for brains, you can't even mod it. So why am I doing this? Good question. Well, first as a challenge, and second to see how far amp modeling technologies come in the last 20 years. This isn't the best in amp modeling from 20 years ago, but it was fairly popular, and plenty of people owned one and were slamming their tiny practice amps with one of these bad boys. I probably picked this one up around 2010, and I already had better gear by then, so it was not really useful for anything for me. It's not a good boost pedal or anything, but it can be fun. It's kind of an amp in a box. If you expect to use it in combination with other stuff, I think it will be disappointing. But on its own, we're going to see just how brutal it can get. So I'm going to put this head-to-head in a mix against the Archetype Gojira from Neural DSP, which is one of the best amp sims on the market today, and we'll see how it does. Now, we know the Metal Master isn't going to compete without a little help, so I'm going to give it some fancy post EQ and fine-tune it, run it through the same cabs as the Gojira, and we'll see just how far we can push the Metal Master in a best-case scenario. I really want to see if someone was using this in a studio today, and we're not worried about transparency in terms of the pedal, well, just how far could it go? Could it be useful in a mix today? Will it live up to the name Metal Master? Let's find out. Okay, so I've got my signal split here from the Ultra DI. That's going to run the same exact signal through both into the computer, straight in, which is going to go into the Archetype Gojira, and then through the pedals here. And then that's going to go into the cab section. So the first thing I'm going to do is run some white noise through both and see what the EQ looks like. And then we're going to do some basic adjustments so I can get the Metal Master close, hopefully, EQ-wise. And then we'll go from there. Now, you may notice the Metal Master has no gain control. So that's why I have the Golden Horse clone in front of it, which allows me to reduce the output volume a little bit, thereby reducing the gain on the Metal Master. Very smart. This is why they call us audio engineers. All right, so that is the basic setup with the pedals. That's as close as I can get these pedals to look in terms of pre-EQ. The next thing I can do is go into post-EQ. All right, that's looking pretty similar. And then we've also got, it looks like a big move on the EQ, though you can see the output is more similar. So if it's getting us closer to where we're trying to end up, then I'm okay with it. Carve out a little bit of that. All right, that's looking pretty similar spectrum-wise. Let's hear how they sound, and does it sound at all the same? All right, I will go to the guitar. First, let's listen to the Archetype Gojira a little bit as a reference point. All right, and now the Metal Master with my fancy EQ, and let's have a noise gate going on for that. Yeah, there's a similar enough EQ. They don't have the same tone, of course. The Metal Master is sounding like it's got maybe more mids to it. I'm going to try real quick this Ignite Amps TPA. This is a tube power amp simulator. Let's just see if this adds anything nice to it. All right, so that's dialed in. That's as close as I think I can match these two EQs. And let's do one more A/B. Here is Archetype Gojira. Metal Master. So at this point, I mean, the Metal Master is sounding pretty good to me. It's not as good as the Gojira, but I think it could work in a mix. We're gonna find out in just a second here. Yeah, I think the EQ is a big thing. Now you could say this is a lot of work to salvage this pedal, and it is. That's the point of what I'm doing. This is just for fun. But also, I suppose it goes to show that you could use less than great gear and get good results, especially if you have something really good handy to base it off of, which, if you have something like the Archetype Gojira or even almost any free amp sim at this point, you're probably better off. You're definitely better off going with that than a Metal Master. But hey, this is for fun, and it could apply to other pedals too, or say your old Red Bean. We're gonna do a little jam now. All right, cool. So there's the finished mix, and I think it came out pretty good. I think the Metal Master actually did okay. It doesn't really sound bad. I think, in the context of a mix with, this is a lot of post-processing. It's just EQ, but it's a lot of post-EQ and some good impulse responses. It still has a kind of early 2000s industrial vibe. Kind of reminds me of maybe Fear Factory guitar tone or something like that. It's not bad though. It's usable. What can I say? It's a Metal Master. Did it master the metal? Yeah, I think it pretty much did. I wouldn't be really using it on any more productions probably, but there's no reason to buy one. There's no real reason to use one at this point in time. We have, better amp sims. We have much better pedals. Just with the free stuff you can get through, free amp sims online, you're better off. So this isn't to say, wow, this is a great pedal, but I suppose this is to prove some kind of point about polishing a turd, about making old gear still usable. And, sometimes you might find you have a unique sound that way. And if you like it, go for it. I don't think it sounds objectively bad. It doesn't sound great, in my opinion, but it holds up okay. And, we're looking at a difference in 20 years of technology here, and it did its thing. It's got a lot of post EQ, and we will take a look at that now. So we have two sets of EQ, and as I showed in the beginning, I did this with the white noise going through the frequency response to try to match it to the Gojira amp, and then I fine-tuned it a little bit more by ear. So we have the first EQ after the pedals, and as I showed earlier, I showed you how the pedals were set up with the Klon. I didn't change the settings. Here is the first EQ. It's a lot of mids, but it sounds much more normal with this amount of mids. So it looks crazy, but it ends up sounding less scooped. And then this is a secondary EQ that's just sort of fine-tuning a little bit more. It's got even more mids, and I cut out a little bit of 3K, gave it a tiny boost around 5.5K. There's also a noise gate on this. I'm running it through this Ignite TPA, which doesn't really do much, but helps it to sells it a little bit. It gives it a tiny bit more gain, I feel like. It gives it a little more tubiness. It's very subtle, but it's there. And then this is just the cab section of the Archetype Gojira, which is set up exactly the same way as the other amp sim, so they have the exact same speakers, and that does go a long way towards making this not only sound good, but also sound similar to the other one. So, what is the point of this? I don't know. Come to your own conclusions. I'm just doing this for fun, and it's been something on my mind for some reason. I've had this Metal Master sitting around it's been staring at me saying, please, Master, make me relevant again. I don't think it's going to be relevant again, but this was fun, and I hope you enjoyed the jam. It was a cool little jam, and that's all I have for you today. So see you in the next one. Don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe for more educational and entertaining content right here on the Nick Leonard YouTube channel. See you next one. See ya next time.